You can buy a ranch in New Mexico right now for $7,000. Less, actually. There is a half-acre outside Deming, listed at $1,500. The word ranch is doing a lot of work in that sentence, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what kind. Today, a mountain resort community with a golf course, an airstrip, and about 345 people. A town where for a stretch of 2012, the only certified member of the police force was a dog. A county seat whose own mayor of 21 years said, on the record, "I think Lordsburg is done." And at number 1, the desert, where roughly 80,000 ranches were sold to Americans who never saw them and are being sold again right now, possibly to you. This channel covers what cities actually are, not what the brochures say. If that is your kind of thing, subscribe. Today, we are counting down 10 of the emptiest places in New Mexico. Stay for number 1. That one took me the longest to believe. Number 10, Tiburon, the resort town that built the golf course before the people. This place should not confuse me, and it does. There is a 9-hole golf course, here a lodge, a pool, an airstrip, a volunteer fire department, and 345 people as of the 2020 census spread across 20 square miles of the Sacramento Mountains. 17 people per second square mile with resort infrastructure built for thousands. Tiburon is what happens when mid-century land marketers plat a remote mountain canyon into thousands of small lots and sell a retirement dream. The amenities were the sales pitch. The buyers mostly never came. Back in 2000, there were 458 housing units and 309 residents, more houses than humans. The lots are still churning. Half-acre to 2.5-acre forested parcels list for $3,000 to $9,000, some at $99 a month. Here's the catch: the isolation that makes it cheap is total. No school, kids ride a bus 31 miles to Cloudcroft, no hospital, no supermarket, and wildfire-prone national forest on every side. Today there are a couple of mom-and-pop stores, a cafe, a bar and grill, stocked fishing ponds. Picture the defining scene. 1. Retiree teeing off alone, deer grazing the fairway. Somebody built a resort. The guests just never checked in. Number 9. Encino, the town a governor came home to and everyone else left. R.C. Dillon was the 8th governor of New Mexico, 1927 to 1931. When his terms ended, he went home to Encino and opened a mercantile store by the railroad tracks. That is how much this town mattered once. Today, Encino has roughly 54 residents. It ranks 447th out of 492 communities in New Mexico. It had 94 people in 2000, 82 in 2010. The decline is not dramatic, it is arithmetic. The cause has a date, 1965, when the Santa Fe Railway closed the depot. Every depot town along US 60 died this way. Cholet's closed in 1945, Abos in 1940, Lucy's in 1938, Negra's in 1941, Encino just lasted longest. The high school consolidated into Vaughn's in 1982. The elementary followed. The village government now works out of the old brick school building. My favorite detail here, and it is a strange one, the old WPA gymnasium has southwestern murals painted between 1939 and 1942 by an artist named Hallie Williams, who was paid $20 each. The gym outlived nearly every business in town. The cruel part is that Encino sits at a real crossroads. US 60 meets US 285, so traffic passes through every single day. Nobody stops. A woman who grew up here wrote recently that she took her father back one last time before he died in 2022, and that it is sad to watch a little thriving community die. The town is not hidden, it is skipped. Number 8. Duran. And the town where New Mexico hanged its last men. The punchline first, the last judicial hangings in New Mexico history trace back to this town. In 1921, a merchant named Anton Corey was murdered in Duran. 4 of the 5 men responsible were executed in 1922. Nothing that famous ever happened here again. Duran was built in 1902, essentially overnight, because 2 brothers, Blas and Espéridon Duran, owned wells, and the El Paso and Northeastern Railroad needed water for steam engines. The railroad put repair shops and a wooden roundhouse here, and the town peaked around 300 people. Then it died twice. In 1921, the railroad moved its shops south to Carrizozo, and the roundhouse came down. U.S. Highway 54 arrived in the 1,930 seconds and gave the town a second life, until Interstate 25 opened about 60 miles west in the 1,960 seconds and drained the highway dry. Twice the transportation network invented Duran's reason to exist. Twice it took it back. Today, somewhere between 17 and 44 people live here. Nobody is entirely sure. The 2-story sandstone general store still stands with faded lettering that reads dry goods, furniture, hardware grocery, and feeds apostrophe included, which I got briefly stuck on and cannot explain. One warning if you go, it is not as empty as it looks. A photographer reported having a gun pulled on him after wandering onto a driveway he assumed was abandoned. The ruin is a museum. People still live inside the exhibit. Mosquero, the county seat of almost nobody. Start with the density. Harding County covers 2,126 square miles and holds 657 people. That is 0.309 people per second square mile. 1 person for every 3 square miles. It is the least populated county in New Mexico and the 13th smallest in the entire United States. Its county seat, Mosquero, had 97 residents at the 2020 census. The name, by the way, means swarm of flies. From the flies drawn to buffalo carcasses left by hunts, a county seat named after flies on carcasses. I am not going to editorialize. I am just going to leave that there. The county was created on the 4th of March, 1921, Warren G. Harding's inauguration day, at the tail end of the homestead boom, when dryland farming briefly made these plains look viable. The Dust Bowl killed that premise within a decade. Population peaked at 4,421 in 1930. It has fallen every era since, down roughly 85% from peak, and it is aging out in real time. Mosquero's median age is 71.1 years. Of its 21 adults, 15 are seniors. Mosquero and Roy combined have fewer than 200 students, all grades. Here is what stopped me, though. Starting in 2008, a project called Paint the Town put the county's remaining kids to work painting murals of the town's history across its empty buildings, described as some young people, a willing tutor, a little cash. The courthouse from 1922 still functions. The kids are painting the story onto the buildings the story left. Number 6. Carrizozo, the county seat living on a quarter of the country's income. The number that defines this town is not population. It is income. The median household in Carrizozo earns about $27,000 a year. Roughly a quarter of residents live below the poverty line. This is a functioning county seat, courthouse, school, government payroll, running on a fraction of what a typical American household brings in. And there is an uncomfortable connection to 2 entries ago. Carrizozo is the town that killed Duran. In 1921, the railroad moved its shops from Duran to here. For a while, that made Carrizozo the winner. Then the railroad itself faded, and the same force that built the town in 1899 dismantled it in slow motion. Population held around 1,200 for much of the late 20th century. It was 972 at the 2020 census and still drifting down. But, small tangent, this town's most famous export was cherry cider, known nationally, all of it from one orchard. The Carrizozo orchard is permanently closed. A town's entire claim to fame can apparently fit inside a single business. The trap here is the consolation prize. County seat status guarantees government jobs, but not an economy, so every closed storefront on 12th Street tends to stay closed. Galleries and artists have moved in and slowed the slide. They have not stopped it. Ruidoso, 45 minutes away, absorbs the region's money. If you drive in from the east on US 380, you cross the black lava field of the Valley of Fires right before town. The land itself looks scorched. The town just looks tired. Quick pause. 5 down, and the second half is where this list stops being quaint. If you have driven through any of these towns, or you own a lot in one of the places coming up, and statistically some of you do, put the town or the county in the comments. That is genuinely where the next video's leads come from. Coming up, the dog, the mayor's eulogy, and 80,000 ranches. Number 5. Vaughn. The fastest shrinking town in New Mexico once had a dog for a police force. The police chief of Vaughn, Ernest Chris Armijo, resigns after news reports reveal he cannot legally carry a gun, owing to delinquent child support, acknowledged in Texas and felony charges. The town's only other officer had pleaded guilty to assault and battery, which barred him from firearms under federal law, which left, according to records, exactly one certified member of the Vaughn Police Department, Nika. A drug-sniffing dog, the town attorney's defense, verbatim, to the Associated Press. England doesn't allow police officers to carry guns. It made national news as a punchline. It was not a punchline, it was a symptom. The chief's salary was under $30,000. Vaughn could no longer field, vet, or pay a police department because Vaughn was disappearing. The numbers: 633 people in 1995, 39 in 2000, 446 in 2010. Down 57.8% from peak, the fastest shrinking of New Mexico's 100 largest communities. The reason Vaughn exists at all is that 2 transcontinental railroads, BNSF and Union Pacific, happened to cross here. It thrived when steam crews and highway motorists on US 5460 and 285 all needed to stop. Diesel engines ended the crew layovers at scale. The interstates ended the road trade. Homeland Security officials have described the surrounding country as isolated territory favored by traffickers, which is part of why the dog mattered. The trains never stopped coming through Vaughn. They just stopped stopping. The town kept the noise, the crossings, a couple of crew motels running at 2 a.m., and almost none of the payroll. Number 4. Tucumcari. The real Radiator Springs. I think this is the most photographed dying town in America, and I do not think that is a coincidence. When Pixar built Radiator Springs for the movie Cars, it borrowed from Tucumcari, the butte. Behind the fictional town is modeled on Tucumcari Mountain with its big white T, and the 100% refrigerated air slogan came from here too. Hollywood needed a beautiful bypass town. This was the reference. The business model was overnight stays. First, the Rock Island Railroad in 1901, then Route 66, which lined the main drag with neon motels built to catch westbound America for one night at a time. The famous campaign said it plainly: Tucumcari Tonite, 1200 rooms. Then, Interstate 40 arrived. It did not even bypass the town exactly. It runs along the edge. It just converted a destination into an off-ramp, and cars that could make Amarillo to Albuquerque without stopping finished the job. The town peaked around 8,400 people in the 1,950 seconds. It has lost population nearly every decade since, under 5,000 now. The average home is worth $82667, down 9.8% in the past year, against a statewide average of $314,851. A quarter of the state's number. The strangest thing a visitor wrote: in daylight, it was hard to tell which motels were abandoned and which were operating. The Sheraton Motor Inn, 81 rooms, cycled through names, and burned down in 2014. The Lasso was bulldozed in 2010. The Blue Swallow for 1939 survives on the National Register, run for years by families like the Frays, who raised 5 children on site at the Motel Safari. The decay is now the product. Tourists come to photograph the ruin. The town survives by preserving the thing that hollowed it out. Number 3. Lordsburg. In the words of its own mayor, done. I think Lordsburg is done. That is, Clark Smith. Retired mine worker. 4th generation resident. Mayor of this town for 21 years. When the person who ran a city for 2 decades delivers its eulogy on the record, you listen. Lordsburg is the seat of Hidalgo County, down in New Mexico's Bootheel along the Arizona border, founded 1880 on the Southern Pacific Railroad. Birthplace of the state song "O Fair New Mexico," which is the kind of detail that starts to sting once you know the rest. Population at the 2020 census, 2,335. An investigative outlet, Searchlight New Mexico, called it a potential ghost town that has not bustled in 50 years. Actually, let me back up, because the numbers here are doing something worse than declining. Hidalgo County's average home value fell 22.5% in a single year to $89,684. Not over a decade, 1 year. That is one of the steepest drops of any county market in the state. The town's history broke in 3 stages. The railroad town lost passenger rail. The motel town, the main drag, is literally named Motel Drive, and the dead motor courts still line it. Lost the overnight trade when I-10 turned a stopover into a gas stop. The mining service town lost the mines. Smith worked in them. By 2020, the town's fight was not for growth. It was for an accurate census count, because in a shrinking town, every uncounted resident is federal money that never arrives. High poverty, little broadband, few computers. The count itself was at risk. Thousands of vehicles pass Lordsburg on I-10 every day. Traffic most dying towns would kill for. Every one of them is the reason it is dying. They buy gas and they go. Number 2. Rio Rancho Estates. The 142 square mile scam you can see from space. Somewhere in America this year, a property tax bill will arrive for a half-acre of sagebrush the recipient has never heard of. Their grandparents bought it at a steak dinner in the 1,960 seconds. That is how heirs still discover, per Sandoval County officials, that they own a ranch in New Mexico. Here is where the bill comes from. In 1961, a company called AM Rep bought 55,000 acres of the Kuntz Ranch northwest of Albuquerque, added 35,000 more from the King Ranch in 1970, bladed a perfect grid of dirt roads across it, and sold Rio Rancho Estates by mail and banquet dinner. The ads showed a golf course and a canyon. The Rio Rancho Observer notes the Gemmes Canyon, and those ads did not exist. The federal court record contains the number I had to read twice. The tract was staked into 86,000 lots. By 1976, over 77,000 had been sold, the number occupied by homes, 1,700. In 1977, 4 AM Rep officials were convicted in Manhattan Federal Court of mail fraud and interstate land sale fraud. 6-month sentences, a $45,000 fine. The play and film Glengarry Glen Ross is loosely based on this operation. And the convictions changed almost nothing on the ground, because the lots were already sold, so the empty grid, larger than Denver, is still scratched into the mesa today. Now the twist, and it matters, a real city, Rio Rancho, eventually grew out of one corner of this, New Mexico's 3rd largest, with 973 housing starts in 2025 alone. But the vast western grid stays empty dirt streets, and the county still cannot assemble land for parks or schools without hunting down thousands of scattered owners nationwide. A fraud from the 60s is still writing the zoning map. The salesmen are gone. Their grid runs the place. Number 1. Deming and the Luna County Ranchettes. 80,000 ranches sold twice. Drive east out of Deming on I-10, then turn off onto the county roads. The pavement goes first, then the power lines, then the other cars. 15-20 miles out, you are on a graded dirt road with an actual street sign, Vibora Road, San Pablo Road, at an intersection with another dirt road, and there is nothing in any direction but creosote flats and the Florida mountains standing jagged on the horizon. Every half acre of what you are looking at has a name on a deed. Almost none of it has ever had a human on it. This is the title of the video. This is the $7,000 ranch. In the 1,960 seconds, a company called Select Western Lands subdivided the desert east of Deming into what one essayist who inherited her father's lots called a crazy quilt of 80,000 half-acre parcels. No paved roads, no water, no utilities. The sales brochure gushed that cities which now throb with growth were only dots 15 years ago. The implication was that Deming was next. Deming was not next. Deming today has 14,758 people, a hospital, schools, an I-10 truck stop economy, and an average home value around $130,000 to $150,000, falling 4 to 8% a year against a state average over $314,000. The company meanwhile survives mainly in the archived records of the lawsuits filed against it, but the lots never went away. They cannot. They are too cheap to bother reselling properly and too numerous to ever become scarce. So they entered a permanent afterlife, inherited, forgotten, tax-billed, and recycled, right now, through online land dealers to a new generation. $60 down, $60 a month. Current Redfin listings, 1 acre for $3,000, another for $3,500, a lot at $1,500. Comparable parcels listed or sold between $6,000 and $12,000. There is your $7,000 ranch sitting in the middle of the range. One current seller says, the quiet part in the listing itself. As far as we can tell, nobody is living within a mile, and the deed is real. That is what makes this different from a simple scam. You get free and clear title, legal platted access, no HOA. What you do not get is usability. Many lots are too small for a conventional septic system. Water means drilling a private well into a declining desert aquifer, and the county will not maintain your faded road unless you petition for it. The price is honest. The word ranch never was. On a Deming travel forum, a longtime out-of-state owner wrote about the lot he has paid $56 a year in taxes on for decades. He has never seen it. He cannot find the cross streets. He wrote, "I'll pitch a tent on it if I have to. I have been a sucker before, and hope I'm not this time. 2 generations, same desert, same hope, $60 a month. 10 places, 1 pattern. New Mexico's emptiness was rarely an accident. Railroads made these towns, then unmade them, and land salesmen packaged what was left. My favorite on this list is Mosquero, a county of 657 people, whose kids paint the history onto the empty walls. Tell me in the comments which of these you would actually live in or which one I missed. If this held your attention, subscribe. Last image, back east of Deming, a brand new $60 down sign, zip-tied to a leaning street post from the 60s, at the corner of 2 dirt roads where nobody has ever built anything.